and it's. I assume it's still raining outside as well.
Was it raining? It was raining when I came in.
It's raining mainly when I turned up on the bridge, and the chip shop was shut. It's like, totally. I've had a long, hard day of chips and vinegar and pickled onions. Anyway, it's good. It's nice to be. I'm stuck. I'm in between. I'm in between the revelators. I'm revelating. I'm reveling in being in the middle of it. Barnaby and
nobody has ever enjoyed that. Not that's in the band anyway. Like the minute that you join,
that's fine. I'm sorted. Everything. We're all in black. That's good. Black jeans. Yeah. This is it. We belong to the rock club.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
So, in honour of the Puzzle's upcoming Unplugged night on the 21st, Thursday the 21st of October, we're here having a little chat about what it's like to play Unplugged with no discernible microphones. So, which is kind of the theme of the evening.
Yeah. Well, I'll just take the jacket off to begin with because I can feel myself.
This is why the
hyperventilating in between these two rock stars. Oh, come on. The lights are on.
This is why they pay us the big bucks,
Well, I can remember that the man who's doing this filming is Jeff Nemec. He gave me a real push because I'd never been a performer until I kind of met him. I think I did my first performance at the Grove and I hassled this band, heckled them, and then they dared me to get up, and I stood up in this little pub that I'd been coming to for about 15 years, and I looked at the audience and I thought, I'm going to do something. And I'd been out doing portraits for about maybe 10 years, running around drawing on paper bags, so I had a certain kind of strength, I think, and a kind of composure. I knew how to sort of live with people. So I just stood there, I thought, right, and I started to talk, and I just started to talk about smoking and playing pinball and how wonderful it is to be behind the scene. And then I thought, I don't know where I'm going with this, and I was watching the crowd, and it was very exciting, but I felt like I was kind of coming out of something, and I felt really embarrassed. I thought I'll never be able to come in this pub again. I feel so ashamed, so frightened, and I finished after about 4 or 5 minutes of just rambling, and it was really quiet. And then people started to clap and cheer. And this guy came up and he said, where are you playing next? And I was like, fucking heaven, that was heaven. So, and that was my first experience of like getting up and kind of doing something in front of an audience. So I had no experience really in that kind of setting. So I was just hooked then. It was so exciting. And I just thought, I feel like a proper human being. And I thought, this is it now. I know what I am. I am a performer. And then the next week I turned up and I did a 20-minute version of How Much Is That Dog in the Window? And I just made verses about the different dogs I've known in my life. We had a little Alsatian in our house. Well, he was a big Alsatian, but he had little Jack Russell legs because he'd been, he was called Skank, and his father was an Alsatian, his mother was a Jack Russell. So and I did this for a couple of verses about these dogs and carried around. And that was the sort of start. I thought, I don't have to kind of get up and try and learn chords and stuff. I can just make up songs about stuff, and that's it. And he was Jeff Nemec, who is running this Unplugged thing. He was very, very supportive and very, very, very brittle as well, and quite sort of acerbic. And he didn't sort of didn't give anybody any gentleness or any kind of. He wasn't being positive. He just said, "You've done it 5 minutes." And that was it, you just say, oh shit, and you get off. So it was an interesting way to sort of grow as a performer. And I had people around me who were quite sort of sort of gentle and they were chilled and they wanted to do James Taylor or get up and do Bert Yance or something, and then he'd be sticking his own saying, "You've done 5 minutes, get off." And it's like, oh my God, but these people are delicate, and he just didn't care. Yeah. So it was really interesting. So I do recommend, even if for nothing else, come down on Thursday the 21st of October and just catch some tension.
I think the interesting thing about that is the doors open, because when you got up and started talking about smoking and pinball, right? That was just spoken word. You weren't thinking.
I had no idea, but I knew that sort of I had to do something because I had a crowd in front of me, and they were sitting there going, they were looking at me. I'm thinking, right, okay, so just relax, and this stuff started to come out, and I wasn't trying to be. However, I wasn't trying to be kind of Tom Jones or anything. I just wanted to see what happened. So,
isn't that amazing though? That's just amazing. That was unplugged.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and
so there was no.
It seemed like a good sort of name for a club as well, because it was kind of lo-fi, whatever, and it was almost like kind of like a little nursery. So you could start there, and you weren't going to get too much grief if you were shit. You could get on because people go, very good. And so you'd learn, and then you'd come the next week, and the next week might be dismal, and I'd go maybe a week or two afterwards, and that buzz, that I wanted that hit again, where people go, what's going to happen, and I'd do something, and it was fairly pedestrian. And I went back to being a clerk or a postman. Just went back to being. Oh God. I thought I was, I was touched by the hand. Geez, and you're not. You're just kind of. Your ego's feeding you, but then you just have to. There's a few things you have to learn. A few things about patience and about just holding your nerve if it's sometimes not going well. And it's these things, and it's like a good training ground. Is an open mic to kind of get you. Well, it's a door. It's an open door.
Well, that's one of those things, isn't it? The thing about an open mic is you've already established a groundwork between you and the audience just by having a microphone and things. But having a totally involved in this case. No, exactly that. And I think when we started jamming together in the early days of the band, we go to quite a few open mic nights, and they weren't actually. I thought it'd be a good chance to sort of meet with people and have a jam, and it wasn't that. You got a load of bands with their own equipment. In different corners, glowering at each other, and trying to stick to orange juice, and then they just wait turns and give each other grudging applause. But in an unplugged environment, you've literally just got people in a pub listening to what you're doing, and that's quite rare these days.
It is. But I think the puzzle is the perfect arena for it. If it's going to work anywhere, it will work in the puzzle, because it's a very, there's an open-mindedness about the puzzle, and open to new things.
Furniture's really nice as well. Chessboard. If you get bored, you can have a game of drafts.
Can you remember your first gig here?
I don't remember my first gig, but I do remember a gig where I came here and I wrote a song called Cancer. And
the crowd, please.
And I woke up this morning, cancer, cup of tea, cancer. I went for a week, cancer. Cancer's killing me. And I just did it. And the band always had certain misgivings. Or people used to say, "Oh, are you going to do that song about it?" I say, "Well, yeah, because I'm not doing it for shock. I'm doing it because it's part of the repertoire. And I sing songs about being in love with my mother and being, sort of." Lots of things like I hated my dad or stuff, and I wasn't trying to sort of I just sing about that the priest who had two penises or something, just something that's going to be. So this song, and I do it because it seemed I did it with this guy, Jeff Nemeth, because I went to his house and I've got this song. Woke up this morning, cancer. I had a cup of tea. And we were on stage and we just did it. And there's two kids dancing over in the corner by the toilets. This little girl comes over about 19. She says, "Oh, that song, that cancer song's amazing. My brother, he's got terminal cancer and he's pogoing over there." Because he was just loving it. He was loving it because it was like it was people. It was a conversation. It was people were. It was in the fucking. It wasn't like the whole thing. You must be awful and you're really brave and stuff. But I was taking the piss, whatever. But I wasn't taking the piss. I just thought it was an interesting. It's like stuff comes. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I could just follow them words and just make something. And he was just. And I felt so happy to see this guy smiling because he was given an outlet. He was given. He was just enjoying it. He was just boogieing, throwing pogoing about. So
there's a tendency for people who are around people who've got horrible diseases not to mention it, and to avoid the subject. So like it must have been for him. It was probably it was liberating because you were sort of almost making fun of it.
Well, yeah, I mean it was just bringing it up, and I wasn't kind of. I don't try and do kind of issues because I don't really have that kind of brain. There's a song I've just done called, the last song I did was Do Your Fucking Stuff. It keeps you awake at night. You'll never ever feel alright until you're doing your fucking stuff, doing your fucking stuff. And it just seemed a bit basic and a bit kind of like, ploddish, but this doctor came up and gave me a big hug. This woman, she came up and says, "God," she says, "I work in I'm a GP and that song, Do Your Fucking Stuff." He said, "It's so good." I said, "Well, get your hands off me,
Do your stuff over there. I think though, because you take these thoughts for a walk, then they are thoughts that people have had, but you just manage to put like a tune with them, and it's sort of catchy because you've had the thought, but it's catchy because the tunes are catchy as well. I mean, I think I told you this last time we met, but you did a song when I first saw you out here at the Puzzle 16 years ago, maybe nearly 17. You did I'm turning into me dad, to the tune of Walking in the Air. Yeah. And that is literally in 3 generations of my family, because I told my dad about it and he thought it was amazing, and he looked you up and he sought you out in Leeds when you had a gig there. And my son, my teenage son, now sings it to me when I do something that's particularly like my dad. And it's just one of those thoughts that you have. But that's my entire family infected with that now, because you can't do something that's redolent of your dad without that being the chorus somewhere in the house. I'm turning into my dad. The first time it cropped up,
it made me laugh because I thought, I'm walking in there, I'm turning. And it just seemed a really kind of uneasy marriage, and I would really like this kind of unsettled relationship, this toxic relationship between, putting something quite sort of kind of rough and with something that maybe is quite sort of delicate and genteel, and just putting them together. It's because life's too short to be whatever.
Life's too short
to be whatever. Life's too bloody short.
There's a song in there somewhere. That one.
Oh, do come down to this thing on Thursday the 21st of October, because you don't know who's going to turn up. You might find somebody who's going to change your life.
Well, exactly.
In a bad way or a good way.
It might change yours. You might get up and discover your métier like Mik did, or you might be awful.
Well, you might discover what métier means as well.
Your thing. You might discover your thing.
And have a beer as well.
Do you think the beer is excellent? I can vouch for that.